I'm so shitty.
And I think we're live, man. I have a quick question though. Technical difficulty. I have this thing disconnected.
Oh, it's
Um,
right underneath.
It's right underneath. All right, cool.
I'll get it.
Oh, I found it. I can feel it with my fingers.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
I think. Oh, I think I got it. Ooh, first try. Put it in the hole. Um, yeah, that was pretty.
It's not very common.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have problems with that, you know.
It's an awesome start.
But hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. For everybody tuning in, this is the Social Primate, and today I have two very special guests and two very cool friends. I have Leo and Mayra today. Thank you guys for coming out. How you guys been?
Good. Very excited to be here. I don't sound like I'm very excited, but I genuinely am super hyped to be here.
Yeah, if you guys are tuning in right now to the podcast, you're probably only listening to on YouTube at the moment, but you should hear the audio probably by tomorrow or Thursday. But other than that, what's up, Leo? You didn't even say hi.
Oh, hey guys.
People are watching you right now. They're like, "Who's this guy?"
I just want to give a shout out to Social Primate for having us here tonight. I'm really excited. It's my first time on the, well,
Kind of.
there's been another time with the previous affiliate.
Yeah.
But yeah, very excited to you know, give you guys a little insight on healthy relationships.
Yeah. That's what we're here for today.
And yeah, and also a little bit on the dark side, the toxic relationships.
Yeah, because sometimes these are things people don't really want to talk about. We're not necessarily. I mean, we're not relationship experts, for sure. You know, but for sure, I think it's important to have the conversations, and you know, we're normal people who experience normal emotions and feelings, and we go through every type of situation. We've all gone through our own situation, you know, and I think every now and then it's good to talk about it to kind of, you know, realize that you're not the only one, and there's people out there in the same positions, you know. So that's what we kind of want to go for today, you know, go deep.
Yeah, and hopefully all the listeners out there can relate to what we're talking about, and maybe you guys should chime in too if you want.
Oh yeah, that's right. If you guys are tuning in, I have a phone number here. If you guys want to call 'em, it's 323-743-3731. I believe the lines are open if you guys want to just ask us any questions or maybe give us feedback if we're bullshitting or correct us, you know. So feel free to tune in, man. Any attention is some good one. But with that being said, I think we should start. So, I mean, today what I went ahead and did was I reached out to the people, to the public, you know, to try to give us some input into what they think. I don't know, not what the norm is for them necessarily, but what their opinions are on certain questions or certain topics having to do with relationships. So let me see. What can we get started with here? Let me see here. First of all, are you guys comfortable right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable actually.
All right, because it's gonna go deep, and hopefully we can be honest about it. You know, there's certain things we might not want to necessarily talk about, but you know, I think once we break through, we should be good. Go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do this.
All right, sounds good. So, I mean, first of all, I also want to give a thanks to everybody who took their time to respond to the questions. I know a lot of people just kind of watched them and ignored them, douchebags. But those who actually took the time, I'm really grateful, and you know, want to give you a shout out for that. We won't give out your names, so your secret's safe with us. Your opinions are safe with us. But yeah, so one of the first questions I asked today was, let's see here. You can find these on Instagram. It was, should you... Wait, that's the wrong one. Should men pay for every date? Now, that's something I've been seeing around. Like, you know, you see on comment boards and shit, and people are like, no, you know, you should go half and half. Or some girls are like, no, you should pay for everything. Otherwise, why does he have a girlfriend? So, like, what do we do, man? What do we do? We're in a different age, you know, where people want equality, but at the same time, they still want the... what is the word I'm looking for? Like... Chivalry? Yeah. So, I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, you're a man, so I think we could let you answer, like, from your perspective.
Yeah,
Oh,
Leo,
as a
you
man.
pay for every date,
Yeah.
first of all.
All right. So I'm gonna keep this simple. I would love to pay for every date. Unfortunately, the way my bank works sometimes, that's not necessarily the case.
Or it
Okay.
doesn't work sometimes.
Hey, it happens, man. It's not because, you know, you can't do it. You know.
Yeah. I think men should, if they're gonna ask a lady out on a date, they should probably keep in mind that they're gonna pay. I think.
Yeah. In
Um,
regards to like the first date, you would say.
Yeah, in regards to the first date, if you make the bold move to ask the girl out, I think it's expected for the man to pay.
Mhm.
Although sometimes it's very nice when the girl pays.
It is nice.
And-
I'm not gonna lie about that. It's like, ooh, she's taking care of me. You know. But what do you think? I mean, you're coming from the female perspective. Is that something that is important to you, or what do you think? Give us a general view of things.
So I personally feel like no, a man doesn't always have to pay. So the way that I was personally raised, my parents told me like, el que invita paga, which is basically like whoever invites has to pay.
Mhm.
So, like if I ask somebody out on a date, then I fully expect myself to pay, and I would want that like mutual understanding of like, hey, if I invite you, I gotta pay, and if you invite me, you gotta pay. So it doesn't really matter like who initiates, but I could see from a certain perspective why some people would expect men to pay, because like, not to get like super political or anything, but like men kind of do make more than women oftentimes, and
Mhm.
but I don't necessarily think that that means that like, men always have to pay. It's just a matter of like who asked who.
Yeah. It's like a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
And I guess at this point, like respect, right? I mean, I would like to think that. I mean, at least for me, my parents are Mexican or they're Hispanic, so they come from a time where things were done differently.
Mhm.
You know, that you like, si eres el hombre, you're gonna be the
Yeah.
one taking care of. You're the man of the house. You're taking care of whoever the fuck you're
Breadwinner.
with. And I think that still stands for a lot of people's parents, or at least or older generations. That I've heard it for myself, like, ¿qué no paga? He doesn't pay. It's like, nah, it's like, there's a mutual understanding where everybody's helping each other in a sense, and you're finding common ground to kind of, I don't know, not help each other, but kind of just make each other feel like good about each other. I don't know if that makes sense, but parents are a whole different thing, and I think at some point that does have a impact in how we're raised and how we see those type of things. But I mean, let's ask the public. What does the public say? Because the public had some really good questions, man. I mean, some answers. So people kept saying, like, the majority of people didn't want to agree that everybody should find a common ground, and you pay, I pay, we take
Mhm.
care of each other type of thing. But there is some people who say, especially dudes, there was dudes that were really saying no, like, nah, we shouldn't pay for everything. I mean, I don't know why they would say that. Coming from a man, I don't know. Why will I say no? Let me think. I mean, bank account. Bank account's one of the reasons why, maybe.
Yeah,
But-
I also think maybe like, what are your intentions
Yeah.
with this new partner of yours? Is it somebody that you just want to hang out with, you just want to be friends with them, or do you want a courtship? I think that all goes into play, because if you want to start dating this person, I think paying
Mm-hmm.
can be a form of maybe like impressing the partner.
Yeah.
Another thing I've seen in my previous experiences, a lot of women take advantage of that.
Mm.
Do they?
And
Do I take advantage of that? No, right? I feel like I like to. I'm sorry, I'm not making this about me. I'm just like, wait,
Oh, fuck.
what previous experience? With who?
Yeah, Leo, with who? Tell the world.
Well, for example, like, we go out to a nice dinner and everything,
Mhm.
and they decide to get the steak or the fried calamari
Yeah.
Whack.
with the tomato sauce. Alright? But
Well, you were saying about the intentions. Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
your
yeah.
intentions are.
yeah, what are you?
So I guess it depends on the person that you start seeing, right?
Yeah,
I mean-
and I also think I have a theory that there's levels to it.
Mhm.
There's like maybe the first dates or so. You come to an agreement with your partner and take turns paying.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just want to get to know the person,
Yeah.
and you don't mind spending those couple of 20s.
The
Just a
Benjamins.
couple though. Very clear.
No, I mean that makes sense, because I mean, I for sure, you know, you don't want to look like a cheap ass, first of all, you know, and at the end of the day, you also don't want to be the guy who's having your shit paid for. You know, but it does feel nice, you know, when, you know, your partner does, you know, hey, let's get some tacos, and then they spot you, and it's like, oh, fuck, thank you, you know, like, you feel grateful for it. And I'm not sure how it feels from, you know, your end, but I would assume it feels like you're taking care of your man, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like when I've gone out with someone and I've like offered to pay and they turn it down, like it's almost like insulting.
Insulting to
Like,
you?
yeah, like to me,
Oh,
because
fuck,
it's
he
like,
jumped into
hey,
shit.
like you know, you take care of me pretty well, and like, you know, you foot the bill a lot of times, and like I kind of want to treat you to something, and to be like, no, 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 it's fine. It's like,
Mhm.
oh fuck. So that, because then it's like, I don't want the whole thing like, oh, I always pay for everything, like from a man's perspective,
Mhm.
especially if like I've offered to pay, you know, like it would be nice to let me step up and like take care of you
Yeah.
every once in a while, or like even like half of the time, because like for a woman to pay only sometimes, like I don't know, I feel like that is taking advantage of like a man's, you know, pocketbook, and being like, oh well, he always pays for everything, so I don't have to worry about it. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, there's always gonna be people on different sides. Like, there's gonna be dudes who say like, "Nah, you gotta pay for shit," you know, like you gotta step up. And there's girls who are also gonna be like, "Yeah, if you don't pay for my shit and stuff, fuck you." No, they don't say it like that, but you know, they're
Cheap
inclined,
ass.
you know, like they've been accustomed to a culture of having being taken care of, you know. You know, and it's fair enough, you know. That's why those certain people meet those other type of people, and then they get along. But then it's when two of those opposites clash, and it's like, oh fuck! It's like, what is that fucking dog movie? The one with the old homeless dog and the rich dog. I forgot what the fucking movie's
Oh,
called.
Lady in the Trap.
Lady in the Trap. There you go. But the lady, she's classy,
Mm.
and she doesn't care that he's a bum dog. That's the other type of people you'll find, you know. But the whole point of this is just, you know, basically, I personally think it's healthy for people to take care of themselves, and you know, like you said, for the guys who kind of get defensive, I think
Yeah.
that's, you know, there's something going on there. They feel like their masculinity is like kind of being attacked.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole different topic, but it's true, man. You know. Do you guys have anything
Yeah.
else to input for
Yeah.
this?
Can I share a different perspective? So in a past relationship that I was in, then like it was a pretty serious like committed relationship, but like so we would, well, he wouldn't pay for everything, but like, and it wasn't expected for him to pay for everything,
Mhm.
but then kind of like all of a sudden he just switched up on me and was like, hey, how about when we go out, like we each pay for ourselves?
Damn, that's a whole other level.
That's a whole nother level. And so I was like, dude, that's not even like a date anymore. We're just like hanging out as friends. Like, that's
Mhm.
how it seems. Because, you know, when you go out with your friends, like a lot of the times it will be like, oh, like I'll order my shit and then you'll order your shit, and then, you know, two separate tabs.
Mhm.
But yeah, like to be with someone, like, and go out like on a, I guess, like date, and then for them to be like, pay for yourself, like that's not a date. That's like, yeah, just us chilling, hanging out, like, you know, we were going home in separate cars kind of thing. Like, it was very strange, because like the way I've seen it is like, okay, you pay for this date, and then next week I'll pay for that date, and then the week
Mhm.
after that, like we'll alternate. But to have to pay for myself was like, yikes. Like, it was a different experience, and like
Yeah.
it was kind of like a deal breaker for me to some extent, because it would feel very awkward like going somewhere, and like, not that I care what people's opinions are, and I've never like given a fuck, but like in my eyes, in my opinion, it was like, oh fuck, I guess we're just friends now.
Yeah. So I mean, how do we get out of that? Like, what? I guess what was I gonna ask? I fucking forgot.
I think Myra brought up some good points
Mhm.
too. Like, what constitutes a date? Is it when, you know, one person pays for everything, or is it just hanging out? What do you guys think constitutes what a date is?
I mean, that's
Is it just chilling at your pad watching Netflix, or is it actually going somewhere and, you know, spending that dough?
I mean, I would think a date means just having, in any form, hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, just spending time with somebody. But, you know, like she stated earlier, like, you know, if I'm fucking with somebody and, you know, hey, you want to hang out, and I'll buy you ice cream. Or, you know, it's not necessarily a big thing, but you're taking kind of charge and like, hey, I'm gonna spot you an ice cream or something, or te estoy invitando, then I would say that kind of leans more towards a date, you know, instead of like, hey, you want to get some ice cream and you buy your own sundae? Then it's like, oh, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's important too, because I mean, if that relationship that you have with that person develops into a longer commitment thing, it becomes, you know, it's important because that's, you know, at some point you're going to be sharing financial stuff with them, you know? So I don't know. I think it's a pretty good indication of what you're getting yourself into right from the get-go. Or, I mean, I don't know if people have that conversation all the time, like, hey, let's sit down and talk about how we're going to spend on our dates, you know? But I don't know. Do you think it should be a conversation? It'll be an awkward conversation, though.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know, in our society, like, it's very undertone, right? It's very in the shadows, because you know, I find it offensive when people ask me about my salary, because, you know, I wish I would be making more.
And don't we all? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So it will definitely be progressive if somehow we could start talking about those things with our partners, but I think it takes some time.
Yeah,
and it takes some getting to know, you know, each other's spending habits, because that's a big thing too. One time I went on a date, and this lady friend of mine, she wanted me to choose what to buy. You know, it was kind of awkward because I didn't really know her, you know. So
she wanted to buy you stuff.
No. Let me clear that up.
Okay.
So I got the menu, or we both got the menu, but she like pushed for me to
Choose
to
for her?
order, to order everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, I ordered some appetizers here and there, skipped the entrees, and then probably got some
Some water.
some Chardonnay. But
Chardonnay.
yeah, but it was weird because at the end of the day, when it was time for me to pay, like, I ordered everything, so it felt kind of like,
It was very strategic on her part. Like, I didn't buy anything.
Yeah,
I
she's
didn't
like
order
planning
it.
it.
Yeah. Like, you chose, you pay.
yeah,
That's
but
sneaky.
yeah,
You gotta write that one
yeah.
down.
yeah, listeners, you can take some tips on that, you know,
Ladies.
Yeah,
or
I mean-
or gentlemen,
Oh, yeah, that's
or
true.
gentlemen.
but yeah, we didn't really hang out much after that, just because that was like a deal breaker for me too, you know. It was an awkward situation for me to choose everything on the menu, and then whether she liked it or not, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's definitely a deal breaker. I think that's one of those deal breaker things. Like, if you know, I guess if you don't kind of cling at that point, or like link at that financial point, you're like, nah, I'm bouncing. But hey, it's cool. I mean, again, if those people aren't for you, then you really shouldn't pursue it. You know, unless you really want to.
Yeah, so to just clarify for the viewers, what is a deal breaker? What does that word even mean?
Deal breaker in relationships or dating?
Both?
In both.
Yeah, because...
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'll start. A deal breaker for me would just be, you know, like, I don't know, not understanding in regards to that you're also your own individual person. You know, you have your own things going on, and you know, if one is not necessarily okay with that, it'll make things a lot more difficult to adjust. You know, because everybody's their own person. You know, and the last thing you want to do is feel like you're either being controlled or you're controlling somebody. You know, and that's a main deal breaker for me. But you know, what's your deal breaker, Leo?
Oh, I just wanted to clarify what a deal breaker
Oh,
is. You mean
okay,
like
yeah.
that's it? You're not gonna see that person anymore, or you're not gonna court them anymore? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I probably won't see them anymore.
Oh, okay. So it's ending the dating relationship. That's
Yeah.
that's what a deal breaker is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Myra, you got a take on it?
On, like, my personal deal breakers, or what I think a deal breaker is?
You know, because I was kind of confused.
Yeah.
Oh, the second question.
On what a deal breaker is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess just, like, when you realize that, like, that person isn't for you. And it could be, like, something really little, because some people are very nitpicky, or it could be something really huge, like, I don't know, someone being, like, a rapist or something, which is very extreme. I shouldn't have said that, but yeah, like, you know,
it's okay.
something, like, really, like, it takes people sometimes, like, very drastic, serious things to be like, oh, dude, that's a deal breaker, you know. And then for some people, it'd be like, oh, he doesn't like ketchup on his fries, like that's a deal breaker, you know.
Yeah, super simple.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's go on to the second question
Yes.
of the day here. We have, is it okay to talk to your exes while being in a new relationship?
No.
There you go.
Straight up.
Straightforward.
No.
I mean, there's a,
Mm.
going based on some of the people's reactions here. Somebody says, depends if there's unfinished business. But what kind of unfinished
Yeah, what
business
does
should
that
you have
mean?
when you're in a relationship already?
Oh, maybe if like they have a child together.
That makes
Or
sense,
there's
yeah.
like investment properties. I don't know. They're like business
Investment
partners.
properties?
No,
No, fuck,
I'm
gotta get
joking.
divorced.
Yeah, fuck. But if that's what they mean by business, like I don't know, they co-own something together, or like they co-own a child together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if
Yeah.
if you find yourself that you have a, either baby daddy or baby mama, then of course there's gonna be contact with that.
Mhm.
But I think at that point, it's different for sure. Because I think as long as those people understanding, they can continue, but in a mature level without it being any sort of intimate physical relationship. And that's what I also considered as unfinished business. But outside of that, I
Yeah,
don't really see what else can be considered unfinished business. Because again, unless people need to understand that unless you're really like, if you're not over your shit with your past people, like there's no reason why you should jump into another relationship. Like just saying it because there's a lot of people who tend to do it. Because they think they're ready.
Mhm.
Or they're just a rebound, or they just find a rebound. And I think it's probably the worst because then you're gonna fuck somebody else, like somebody else's feelings up.
Yeah.
But yeah, people, no, it's not okay to talk to your exes, right, Leo? You say that too?
Yeah, of course. Out of respect for the relationship, you shouldn't be, entertaining
Mhm.
your previous lovers. It's definitely disrespectful. Although sometimes it happens, but not because you want to, just because you happen to run into them, let's say at the store or something.
Yeah, right. So let's just say hypothetical question here, or hypothetical scenario. Let's say your ex does reach out to you, but it never moves past, like regular casual conversation, like hey, how you been, or like, oh, just
Mhm.
small fucking talk that has nothing to do with anything. Then is that okay?
But even then, it's like if you no longer have like a certain like I guess like when you're in a relationship with someone, you set like boundaries, like
Mhm.
oh, we're in a relationship and this is what we can and can't do. But if you're outside of, or you're no longer in a relationship with someone, like why would you need to like check up on them?
Mhm.
Like even if I would say even if you're on good terms, because there's still some like caring going on, and like you still want to see how that person's doing, which means that like you probably still have feelings for them, which
Yeah.
is it's fine to have feelings for people after a relationship, but reaching out is like, in my opinion, like a bit of an extreme, because I feel like I've done that in a past relationship where like I broke up with someone, and then even then I was still like, hey, how are you, because I was still trying to like spark something up to see if it was gonna work out, and it didn't, and I was like, well, that's that. After it didn't happen, I'm like, well, it's like for sure
Yeah.
over, like I can't really force it, and I'm not gonna like continue talking to someone if like that same energy isn't there.
Yeah, right. I mean, for sure. If you're not seeing anybody in that
Yeah.
sense, I think that makes it normal. But fuck, I don't know, man. There's just so many factors. You don't know what that person, what the relationship was like before. Fuck, I don't even know what to say at this
It's
for
a
this
very
one.
gray area, like it's
Yeah.
very tricky.
Yeah, because you don't
Yeah.
want to seem like you're still caring unless you really want to. But
Unless you're like an obsessive ex.
Yeah.
unless you're just fucking chilling, you're okay with just, talking to your old people.
But does the ex like know you're in a relationship? Like, is a person reaching out to you like aware? But also, okay, so I guess there's two sides to it. So like,
Mhm.
if you're in a relationship and your ex reaches out to you, then like it's up to you really to decide whether you're gonna respond or not. So you could just be like, oh, whatever, ignore,
Right.
delete message, whatever. But if you're in a relationship and you reach out to your ex, I think that's just like plain disrespectful, because like out of respect for your relationship, like Leo said, like why would
Mhm.
you entertain past lovers, even if it's just a, hey, how are you? Like, you shouldn't be checking up on people that you're no longer with.
Yeah.
You know, especially if like you know, you had a. Well, I don't know. It depends, like, the context of the situation. But, like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
ultimately, like, nah.
Yeah, that's probably something you shouldn't do. I mean, it's tempting for sure. You know, sometimes you want to just do it. You know, and maybe not everybody feels that way. Some people definitely don't feel that way. But man, just don't be a fucking homewrecker, man. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you know they're seeing somebody, or you know that you're seeing somebody and you're still entertaining that idea, dude, you're fucked up. Like, for reals, you know, because I would say that I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. You know, like I personally feel like I wouldn't do that to anybody. But we're all human. You know, we all have our temptations. You know, we're all gonna be tempted by fucking something, but it's up to us to kind of like get level-headed and say, no, I'm not gonna cross that line. You know, we can always cross that line if we really, really fucking want to. But as of right now, the fact stands that it's no, you shouldn't talk to your exes. You know, and don't entertain that idea.
Okay, but what if? This is
Unless
something that
you
happened- Excuse me, I'm talking. Don't talk over me. So what if this is like a relationship that was like years ago, right? Because like we're like in our mid-20s, right? But like, what if this was someone that like you dated in like middle school, high school, right? And
Mhm.
say like you had a pretty, I wouldn't say like committed relationship. Like, how committed could you be when you're like young, you know? But like, what if it's like someone that you dated like in 9th grade, which was fucking like what, 20 years ago for you? I'm just kidding.
Damn, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah, it
kidding.
was. No, 10.
10.
That's why I'm joking. But like, yeah, what if it's someone that's like, hey, what have you been up to? It's been such a long time. Haha. Like, what are the intentions there? Like, do you really think that they're trying to like hook up with you, or that they're genuinely curious as to like, hey,
Yeah.
like, I guess it really depends, like, the context. But if it's more so like, oh, I dated this person 2-3 years ago and they're hitting me up, then it's like, yeah, should you respond?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
right?
good point. That's a good point. Because, you know, if you have like a childhood fucking crush, it's like, hey, how you been? I'm like, oh fuck, hey, what's up? But again, like, I think, you know, you let it go as far as you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
that's always
that's
going to be
very
the
true,
case.
yeah.
Like, if you know yourself that you don't want to be in that position, like, whether you're doing it or not, if I tell myself no, then dude, that's the end of it. But I think that also has to do with yourself as a person. Like, you know your own, you know, fucking limits.
I think the only time it's okay to hit up your ex is when you
want
know
your stuff back.
When you want your stuff back,
Hey, where's my
laptop,
shirt?
camera.
where's my shirt?
Bike.
Camera.
Your
laptop.
bike.
I'm just talking from
He
previous
knows.
experience.
Yeah, he knows.
And
He knows.
well, that's another question I have. But before we get into that, I think the only time it's okay to hit up your ex is when you're not really happy in the relationship that you're in now,
Damn, that's
And-
desperate. That's
Deep,
honestly, that's
yeah.
probably the little desperation though.
and you just want to go back to the old good old days.
Yeah, but
Are
I
you
mean,
speaking from experience? Ooh,
Negative.
No, you hesitated.
No, I
you
had something
hesitated.
in my mouth.
No, you hesitated.
Let's see. When did I hit up my ex?
Leo?
Actually, I did hit up my ex once, but I wasn't in a committed relationship. I was, vacilando, at
Okay,
the
but
clubs.
that's like what we're
Is
saying,
that
like
different?
when you're in a relationship.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like I think we've all hit up exes in a moment of like loneliness. Hey, what are you up
Yeah,
to?
like, hey, what are you up to?
2
Yeah,
a.m. Hey, you up? You know, like,
Those are the best.
everyone's been there, I think.
Best text.
The best text.
And then you're
Fuck.
asleep.
And I see him at 8 in the morning.
And then you're like, oh fuck, what did I do? Nah, it's not like that all the time. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll know when we should be doing that. I think you should know. Otherwise, you also know when you're not doing something that you shouldn't be doing. You know? But for the people who said it, people are saying no. And it's funny because it's a lot of women who say no. A lot of the dudes were like,
Interesting.
Sure.
What are the dudes saying?
the dude's saying, let me see
To
here.
our listeners out there. What are y'all people thinking about, huh?
Yeah, some guy said, yeah, to make them suffer. I was like, damn.
Damn.
What kind of relationships are you doing, man?
Oh, that's interesting because, word around the street, not saying from my experience or anything, that is it true that women hit up, their exes when they see them in a happy relationship,
To home wreck.
you know,
Fuck.
does that happen? Does anybody know out there? If you do, please call. We'd like to hear your experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, fuck. I don't know, man. I mean, it's again, it's just a gray area because it's just difficult, dude. I don't know. There's many scenarios you can put yourself in, and it's either gonna be wrong or right. But just home wrecking, it's not cool, man. It's not cool at all.
It's, you know, it's hedonism.
Hedonism.
Hedonism. Thank you. You know, deriving like just following your pleasures. It's very self-interest, you know,
Yeah.
motivated by self-interest, and then to some people, you know, they don't really care about what others think. You know, it's all about their life.
But yeah, but it costs other people shit too, man. But I mean, like that guy said, like to make them suffer. Like what's the end game with that? You're trying to, like in a way, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold them hostage in a sense. You know, like hey, I have these people fucking ready and stuff. I don't know, but I've heard that around too. Like, there's this meme it shows. I think like once the girl stops posting or takes the pictures off her ex off her Instagram.
Oh yeah.
That there's just a guys
Yeah.
waiting in line already just to kind of like, hey, what's up? And it's happened. I know a friend who that happened to. As soon as that they broke up with their boyfriend, they took off the pictures online and stuff, and then boom, she already had fucking
DMs.
people saying, hey, let's hang out. It's like damn. Like what do you do then? Like what do you do, man? You
Oh,
can't
wait,
do anything.
That did happen to me once. Except we weren't like it wasn't an ex. It was someone who had like previous interest in me, and so I guess through social media like they found out I was single. But they went about asking me in a way that wasn't like upfront. Like they were just like, oh, so how's your like boyfriend? And I was like, oh, we're not together anymore. And so then years later when I brought that up again, he was like, oh yeah, I knew you were single, but I didn't want to be super upfront about it, so I just acted like I didn't know. And so I guess yeah, like people are kind of like waiting to see, like
Yeah, right. They're
yeah.
kind of just
So what is the best pickup line
shit.
to hit up somebody that's just recently single?
I don't know. I think that's very hit or miss because like you could hit
See-
somebody up and then they could be like, oh yeah, sure, and then you could have somebody who's like, oh, like nah, I'm not trying to hang out, like I'm getting over someone.
I mean, I would say it's a little, because if you think back to when we were younger, like what? Let's just go back to like being 14 and stuff. What was the way? That's what 2004, like 2004, right?
No game.
I was
No,
10.
no game.
No
So
game,
let's say
Lalo.
14, right? So just think back, being at your young age.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
How are you approaching either guys or how are girls approaching you? Or let's just say you go back then before the fucking internet.
MySpace. Oh wait, no, before the internet.
Like, yes,
Oh, before MySpace?
how will you approach people? You have to either meet them physically, I'm assuming,
It's
or you come across them, right?
proximity.
And
Yeah,
then-
they have to be in your class.
And then through
probably.
that,
Not even your school, just your class. Oh yeah, that
your
would be
homeroom.
true.
Your
yeah.
homeroom.
yeah, it's just like proximity.
Proximity.
There you go. Proximity produces. I read this in a psychology book. If two people come together close enough, often there's a point, or there's going to be a point where they're going to somehow or some way develop some sort of closer, intimate relationship. So that's interesting. So
Yeah, it's natural
when she tells you
selection.
it was just a friend, or she's just a coworker, don't believe it. That's how it starts.
I think by saying just, you know that word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just.
Yeah, that's true. That's what
Yeah.
really sealed it. Like, dude, he's a coworker. Like, he's just.
But I mean, you're
a
allowed to have
coworker.
friends though too, right? You're
Yeah.
allowed to have male friends, other girlfriends. But again, you know those limits, and you specifically put a commitment to one specific person. So I think, I think it should be okay, right? Because again, you don't want to have that restriction. At some point, you learn that restriction it doesn't work for you. It's just gonna work against you. But going back to the previous question, what was the previous question?
Oh, please don't mind the sirens,
Mm.
Yeah, it's an emergency. So
Coming from-
silence for the victims.
Shit, what was the
Where are we
question?
coming from, Lalo?
Where what?
Where are we coming from?
Where are we coming from?
Yeah, the location.
This is Bell,
Live
California.
from Bell.
Bell,
Right
Bell,
from
California. Yep. Dude, I forgot the hell I was saying.
Southeast Los Angeles. Everybody,
Yep.
go
Cali.
Bulldogs! Elizabeth Learning Center.
Oh fuck.
Bell Eagles.
Get weird.
Just kidding. I'm a
Bell
Spartan.
Eagles. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
HP.
Ooh, HP in the house.
Ooh.
Oh
Ooh.
fuck.
Southeast LA.
So what was I saying? For being 14.
Oh, how would you
Oh
get
fuck.
at
I just
somebody?
fucking burped. Oh yeah. How are you getting at somebody?
That's notes. You write notes.
Yeah. So you write notes,
Do
right?
you
You'll
like
approach.
me?
That doesn't
Yes
happen
or
no more.
You see, and nowadays, the fucking we got back on the train. Nowadays, it's so easy because you have Instagram, you have fucking Facebook, Snapchat,
DM.
DM. So it's
Hit up in
easy
the
to just kind
DM.
of like not put a face in front of somebody and say like whatever the fuck you want to say. Like, hey, let's fucking go out, let's buy some drinks.
Mm.
And I think it makes it easier, for anybody who says they've never done it. I think we all go through somebody's Instagram when we're trying to court them,
Mm.
So
Mhm.
through those means, you're able to find out like little things about them, and that kind of tailors the way you approach a specific person.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's easier because once you have an idea of how these people are, you already have a heads up of how you can. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna, like, hey,
Yeah.
let's go to the fucking comic book convention or something. I don't know, something. man.
Museums.
But it's
Yeah.
so
Fellas.
easy, and it's so easy for you, just
Museums
as
are-
it's easy to
are
for other
100.
people.
All right.
As for other people to reach out to you, because they know. And again, once they break up with you, you're gonna see a fucking list of people pouring in, like, "Hey, what's up? You're single?" And then they'll know more stuff about you. Fuck. So let's see. Third question here. We got: is sexting considered cheating?
Yeah. Let's move on to that one.
I mean, is it? I think it might be, because I think you're gonna get intimate.
Yeah,
Just reading
hot.
those words, you're getting hot in your bedroom in the dark. Oh fuck, and it gets steamy, and you start visualizing.
I think it's pretty obvious that, for me at least, that sexting is cheating.
Yeah,
You're
of course.
like virtually,
Mhm.
courting somebody, like,
You wouldn't call that
So-
courting though.
or
like,
not
kinda
courting, but
smash.
like, yeah.
Virtual
Like
smash.
Virtual smash.
into anticipating,
Mhm.
some.
So, do you think, like, I wouldn't think, okay, so somebody watching porn, being in a relationship, that's not considered cheating, right?
No.
No, because there's no connection, there's no intimacy with the person,
Yeah.
right? So let's say for somebody let's say you join a webcam, or you join a webcam channel to see a guy or a girl just get off on each other, and you're like, hey, do this for me. At what point is that considered cheating, right? That would be considered cheating.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so?
No, I don't think so. Like if it's like one-on-one
Mhm.
and there's some privacy and some intimacy, then yes.
But you're paying for it, so it's still considered cheating?
Is it
I
like,
mean, not
is
saying
it
that
there's
that's
like a
like
big
paying
for
audience,
entertainment.
or it's like, oh, pay to get in kind of
Pay-per-view.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really think it depends.
Like on the person?
I don't.
I mean-
Yeah, like the situation, like, do you have a close bond with this person, or it's like you and like 10 other people watching the same thing,
Mhm.
then it's
Mm.
transactional, and there's no like I would consider like disrespectful, but not cheating.
Okay.
But I think that's just my opinion, because I feel like maybe people will definitely disagree. I think
Yeah,
it's
of
like,
course.
yeah,
Yeah, because I mean,
for sure.
I would say it's the intentions that you're going in with, like, I mean, you can always address why you're going in there. Maybe you're not, somebody's not putting out or something, and that leads to the fucking stress, and you just got to find a way to fucking exert yourself, But, yeah, I will consider it not cheating, but for sure if it was one-on-one with somebody, like, let's say on Instagram or any other fucking social media, I think once it becomes personal, and then yes, it's like, whoa. First of all, you're capable of meeting this person at any point, and then I don't know, things will escalate. I think things at that point will escalate, and I don't know. It'll be fun for that person, but it won't be fun afterwards. After you get caught.
I think for some people, like, just watching porn alone is cheating. What the hell? Why are you looking at her?
Yeah,
That's what
that's
girls
true.
you like?
Oh yeah, and then when they ask you with the question like, "Let me see what type of porn you watch," it's like, "Oh fuck, it's questionable."
Oh,
You're
yeah,
like,
you gotta tell
no,
them-
it's not a. I
Fellas,
clean my.
fellas. You gotta
Fucking turn your
you gotta
phone and
tell
clear the
them-
browser
You gotta let
data.
her choose it.
Deviants.
You gotta let her choose it, fellas.
Which, by the
Let
way,
her choose the porn. Don't
if-
fall
if-
into the trap.
I don't want to come off as a fucking pervert here, but I think up to a few weeks ago there was a. I just stumbled across a video in the midst of adult websites, and it was.
Links
it was
down below.
it was bee pollination. It was
Oh.
like the fucking video was just bees pollinating fucking flowers, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a big turn on. The
Yeah.
environment, yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure we can put one of those on, right, Drake? Here, for people who are watching fucking YouTube,
Actually, fun fact: bees are invasive species, y'all.
I told you that.
the bees are what?
Bees are an invasive species, so it doesn't really matter if they die or not. There's
Where do they come
What?
from?
All right, so
I
right
don't
here we
know.
have two bees getting it on. Get it? What? Get it? What the fuck am I mumbling for? These bees are getting it on. Oh, not those bees.
Bumblebee?
Yeah, so videos that you find like on some adult websites, they have a lot of these being featured. As of a few weeks ago, I don't know as of right now. But for sure, it's a little weird. But I don't know. I mean, I do not find anything arousing about
Who
this.
put
Is
that
this
song?
considered-
The licensed tunes.
Is this considered bestiality though? Like
No, I think. Oh, damn.
The bee's knees.
Now, I don't think this bestiality would be considered if it's amongst a human and an animal, right?
Takes bee's knees to a whole nother meaning.
Yeah.
The bees, get on your bee's knees.
Look at her eye. She's feeling that.
This is animal porn.
But yeah,
Yeah,
some
this
people
is
find this
animal.
really fascinating for some reason.
There's like a bee at the window, like jacking
Oh.
off right now. Like,
Right,
oh,
just
yeah,
looking?
yeah.
That's a pretty little stinger.
Oh shit.
Do you think bees are like picked by like female bees based on the size of their stinger? Like, oh, whatever,
Mm.
dude. No, just kidding.
Probably the one that works the hardest.
Yeah, because isn't there just one female,
Is it?
or is there
Oh, the
multiple? I don't even
queen-
fucking
well,
know.
there's the queen bee, but no,
There's a
yeah.
queen bee, but there's a
Queen bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there has to be more.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah, I haven't
not
watched
being-
Or is it the
Bee.
ants that only have the one?
The fuck,
How do you pick
It's
up on
ants.
queen bee though?
You don't. Shoot your shot, dude.
Then, yeah, you make it or you don't. Oh, I think she kills after. Oh no, there's an animal that will kill
Manatees.
manatees.
No, praying mantis.
Oh, praying
Manatees
mantis.
are, like,
After they
marine
finish
animals.
having sex, they'll just
Yeah.
fucking kill the male. Damn, dude.
Black
The
widows
animal
too.
kingdom.
Black widows will kill their mates.
You were
Praying
lucky. We're not like
mantis.
widows, man.
Mm.
We're humans.
Yeah, but
But I think metaphoric. It's very metaphoric, right? Like sometimes, like you'll have sex with a woman and like she'll ruin your life. And I'm not saying it's like personal,
She'll
but
ruin
like
your life.
right, like
Yeah.
you know, like there's just women that you like interact with, or like women that you have relationships with that can tend to be like, you know, black widows. Like they'll rip your
Mm.
spiritual, emotional, psychological head off.
Yeah. I mean, there's a and it's surprising. I mean, it's not surprising, but like lioness. What are they called? Lioness, the female ones.
Yeah.
They fucking do all the hunting. You know, they're the top dogs
The
at hunting, man.
breadwinners.
And what does the guy do? Just like chill and like play with the cubs and occasionally go kill all the other cubs to mate with the new girl.
Damn.
Yeah. So the animal kingdom's crazy, man. So I'm not surprised that we have some weird behaviors. You know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that puts it into perspective. Like we think we're so like high and mighty, like we're the most civilized species, but like we be
number
doing
one
some weird
predators.
shit too.
Yeah, we do some weird shit, man.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So let's move on to the next question here.
Yes.
Should you change who you are in order to
Kinks.
impress somebody? Some people say, never. They were interested in being you, not you being fake or changing. Someone else says no, but I think it's human to want to do that. I mean, I guess that one makes sense.
Mm.
Somebody else says no, but the change is inevitable if you're building something long term.
Mm.
Other people say no, 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 hell no, take it or leave it. And somebody says yes, always be a puppy. So I guess they mean to make yourself as cute as possible. I don't know, right? That's what I take from it. But yeah.
I would say that maybe in some context it could be a good idea, like if someone has knowledge about something that like you feel like you may not, and you know you change your pattern of behavior, or you change like the things that you say around certain people, then yeah, like I don't know, like if someone's, I don't want to say problematic, but if someone maybe has a certain opinion on something, right? And then they meet someone who gives them like a different opinion, and then they choose to like educate themselves on that. Then I wouldn't say that changing yourself in that context is negative. But if it's to be like, oh, like this person likes these things and I don't, or this person, likes to engage in certain behaviors that I don't, let me try to do that to impress them, then yeah, I think that's not okay. But just like with everything, like context is like a really important part of taking these things into account. But I would say changing in a positive way, then fuck yeah, like if that's gonna impress someone and say like, oh, you really changed, like you've improved a lot, then yeah. But if it's like, oh, like, if it starts to strain your relationships with other people because you're trying to impress this person so bad, like, say like you go out more than you do, or you try things that you don't normally try, and people see that as out of character for you, and the only reason you're doing it is to impress someone, then I don't think that's okay.
Yeah, because at some point that mask is they're gonna see through that mask. I think they'll be like, oh shit, this is not typical behavior from this person, and I mean, not that it's a bad thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like you said, like when you do it just to impress somebody, to kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna go out with them and shit, trying to win them over. Then yeah, because I think, like I said, at some point they're gonna see through that mask. They're gonna kind of really see who you are, that you're not the person that they started seeing, and things are kind of just gonna fall apart at some point. Unless unless you come out to a work agreement and some sort of fucking. Oh fuck, dude, the coffee is getting to me, man. I'm feeling super jittery.
Yeah, there's one time I back in my college days.
Yeah.
Go Gauchos. I wasn't a very successful college student actually. I got kicked out of school the first time. Well, actually multiple times, but we'll get into that another day. Like I pretended to go to this one class just so I could hang out with this girl that I saw at school, and she thought I was taking the class, and man, I played it off like for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
After that, she was like, "Hey, you think you can take notes for me? Cause I'm gonna be absent." And I'm like, "Sure." And then I actually went to that class, and I was like, everyone was looking at me weird.
Oh wait, so did you take the notes?
I did take the notes,
Oh,
and it only works for the introduction classes. We got
okay.
everybody in there.
Nah, well, I mean, I think you should change for sure if it's for your own growth. Like if you're changing your habits, like certain habits that you at some point realize are not good habits, I think it's a good idea to, change towards what you want to do for yourself too. But because I don't think change for somebody else is always healthy, because you might feel a little resentment at some point. But I think, if you're a really aware person, you'll know like, hey, this person cares about me, and if I need to make these changes to make something work, then hey, fuck it, you got to make those changes, man, because every now and then you're going to hear something you don't want, and you're either going to get defensive or you're going to take it into consideration and like then try to put it in perspective and say like, yo, maybe I do need to change something, for the betterment of myself, and it's also going to help the relationships around me. But yeah, if you're doing it for some bullshit, like you're just trying to get laid, dude, I mean, feel free to do it, but they're going to see through it, at some point.
Yeah, and people shouldn't, feel inclined to, change other people too,
Yeah. Yeah, because that's
to
the
shape them
thing.
and mold them to the way they want. Like, that's a little bit toxic right there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's toxic relationships.
But it happens, it has happened to all of us at one point or
Yeah,
time.
I mean, for sure. Unfortunate as it was, I think, I like to think that all your relationships experiences at the end of whoever you decide to kind of be with, it's just a culmination of what you learned. You can apply those to the next one. Hopefully you don't want to have the next one, so you learned enough. But I think you should still be open to those experiences, because again, you like something, they might like something else, and at some point you kind of want to meet in the middle, because if you keep yourself closed also from that growth, dude, you're gonna see people start like pushing themselves away from you. But I think that was a pretty good one. I think you should, just do what you want, man. Do what you fucking want. No, but what were you gonna say, Leo?
I was gonna say that sometimes, it feels good when your partner, you guys share the same interests, or like, same toxic behaviors. Like, you know, if you find somebody that likes to smoke weed a lot and y'all like to get baked all the time, you know, that's fun. But then you just gotta, you know, look at each other and see if, you know, it's helping you out or not.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
But it's definitely fun to, you know, find someone that you really like to have a fun time with.
Mhm.
But, you know,
Yeah, it's like
responsibly.
if you're a low key alcoholic and they tell you, hey man, you should probably change, like, and they're like, oh, that's a valid fucking reason. You're like, man, you should take care of yourself, and those are gonna affect your relationships for sure. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with that again, dude. That's what happens when you smoke weed. So is that the timer right here?
Yep.
Okay.
Just got 9.
All right, cool. So we got 9 minutes. So we'll just go to this last one and we'll fucking kind of cover that.
Sure, let's do
So
it.
should your parents weigh in on your relationship choices? So let's see here. Somebody put a dicho in Spanish. Nadie va a ser suficientemente bueno, pero si eres feliz es lo único que me importa. Wow, what? Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, nadie se va a ver suficientemente bueno. Nobody's going to see themselves sufficient enough. But if you're happy, it's the only thing that matters. Got it. I get what it's saying now.
Mhm.
So, I mean, basically it's saying that if you feel like you're good enough or they're good enough and you're happy, it shouldn't matter, you know? And I think that holds true because a lot of parents have a lot of holds against their mid to late 20, you know, children. They're like, hey, no me gusta para ti.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, it's like, oh, fuck.
A
you
lot
know?
of expectations.
And then, you know, talking from personal experience, I think it kind of affects, it also puts strain on the relationship when the parents aren't kind of being really helpful in regards to that or accepting of who the person is. Because, you know, you want to bring them around. At some point, you want to make it, you know, where everybody's, like, conviviendo. Everybody's, you know, fucking vibing. And maybe you don't get along all the time, but you know there's no fucking strong tension in between, you know? And, again, that's one of those things that I think if you're tied to what your parents think or what their parents think or how you think of their parents, I think it's just going to add a bunch of strain to shit and unnecessary strain. Because obviously at that point it's a relationship between you and who or that other person. You know, I don't think unless they're fucking your life up, like they're giving you meth and shit, and they're like, "Hey, Mika, fucking stop that shit." Then that's understanding. But again, I think we should all be old enough to make our own decisions, or at least, you know, take yourself into account that your life is separate from what your parents were. You know, I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's just my shit. Like, I think people should be more open to how they feel towards somebody, you know, or aware. Because as long as you're aware, you can see through their bullshit too. But
I definitely think it depends on what kind of relationship you have with your parents. Like, if your parents have, you know, given you healthy input about things in your life, and then suddenly they're like, I don't like this person, then I would definitely, you know, think about considering it.
mm-hmm.
But if it's like, if your parents are just very critical of you overall, and then they're just like, you know, nothing that you do is ever enough, or nothing that you do is ever right for them, then I would say maybe, you know, like, listen to them, but not really take it to heart, because, you know, you could be dating the next person and they're probably still not going to be happy. But this reminds me of a story that someone told me once of someone they knew. Let's just make it as vague as possible. But so basically, this girl was like dating this guy, and her and her mom, I wouldn't necessarily say had like a strained relationship, because she didn't have much of a relationship with her mom because she was raised by her grandparents. But her mom came into her life like when she was like in her late teens, early 20s. And then her mom wanted to give input on like the guy that this girl was dating. And they actually came to me, they're like, well, what do you think I should do? And I was like, well, your mom hasn't really been there for you. She hasn't really, you know, seen you throughout different relationships in your life, or like the kind of people that you date. And, you know, despite being her mom, she had more of like a friendship with her, not so much as like a maternal figure, like someone to look up to. It was just like almost like if they were equals. And yeah, in that sense, I would say, like, you know, take it how you would take advice from a friend. You know, like, yeah, people would tell us, I don't like this guy for you, but you know, they're your friends. Like, what can they eventually really do? Like, murder one of you so you're not together? Or, like,
Yeah.
you know, literally, like, sabotage your relationship. But, you know, I think there have been cases of that where, like, parents will try to sabotage their relationships.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, their children's relationships. You know, just because they feel like they have to be right, or, like, they super don't like that person for you. But those are very extremes. Although I think they might happen, you know, more than we think. Like, I think it's something that I've seen, you know, from time to time with, like, Hispanic parents, like, oh, he has another girlfriend, or, like, oh, are you sure you're the only one? You know, I think
Mhm.
I've seen him at the park with girls, you know, like, that's definitely, you know,
Incepting those ideas.
yeah, like,
Maybe he
yeah,
is.
like, you know, kind of, lying to them, and just, it's very toxic behavior. But I do think that it, you know, it does happen, especially when we're younger,
Mhm.
or predominantly when we're younger. But I mean, I wouldn't doubt it happening, like, later in life for some people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much influence certain people do or don't have from their parents, but yeah, I mean, you know, like, well, fuck. Well, before I fucking forget here, let me read some of these things because people put some good ones here. So, like you said earlier, like, depending if it's
Mhm.
toxic or they beat you, then yes, they are protecting you, which I'm sure anybody can tell you, like, dude, like, that shouldn't be happening, dude, man. I don't want to get into that story now because we're running out of time here, but that'll be for the next volume 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, some other what is it? Somebody else put, just always remember your morals. Yeah, I guess that's what parents' advice. And then somebody says, no, they live their life. That's it. Make your own choices.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, you know,
Mm.
I think I agree on that one for sure. You should make your own choices in regards to how you date. You know, who you're dating, or because I mean, you're gonna learn as long as you don't get fucking murdered, you know, or you know,
Yeah.
murder suicide by the fucking guy, because that happened, man. Cudahy, shit happened a few months ago.
Oh, shit.
Damn, it got dark.
Mm.
But yeah, anyways. I mean, we're getting pretty close there. Dude, the time flew. I didn't think it went that fast.
That was so fast.
I want to just give a quick shout out to some of the people. I won't give out their names, but you'll know your Instagram handle. I have Summer Babe 06.
Whoa.
Thank you for answering some of the questions. We have Boncito. We have V Happy. Aria Ann. Miss Giselle or Miss Giselle. Got Jessica Skyreal. Lens Eyes. Jay Woovie. That's a lot of girls. Shenanigans Studios. Some guy named Blackwater Works. Elephant. Bomb in Los Angeles. Pussy Willow.
Oh.
Pearlies.
Oh.
So those are some of the people who took the time to respond. We appreciate it. You helped the conversation even when it got awkward. And we still have more bees here, so I think we'll exit with those bees. Yeah. All right, Leo,
Yeah.
Myra, thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you for listening,
Yeah,
y'all.
thank you for having us.
And then
DJ Leo.
My first
if you guys
podcast.
enjoyed it, just follow us on. Oh, I forgot to tell everybody, we're on Spotify now, so you can go on Spotify, hit the follow button, and then you'll be notified when there's new episodes. You can also mute those notifications and still follow us, so you don't get annoyed. And then you can find us on YouTube on the Super Audio Network. We are also on Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. And then I'm sure we'll have you guys here next time for Volume 2. Volume 2.
Can't wait. I have a lot of thoughts.
Dating 101.
Ooh.
The Social Primate edition. But yeah,
I was thinking about a bee pun, but
a bee pun.
I
Being dirty.
We'll be you later.
Well,
Just kidding. That was bad.
all right.
that was kind of bad. But the song's done here. All right, people, we're gonna wrap this up before it gets more awkward. See you guys in 2 weeks, and then check the episode out on all those places I mentioned again. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you guys.
Dre, as always, thank you.
Have a good night.
Peace.
Thank you.
Or a good day. You don't know when they're listening to this.
Yeah, Leo.
Keep grinding.